The Bluegrass Bash has had several names throughout its history in the HTL Cup Series. This season it takes on a new name, that in the Season of Giving. Welcome everyone to race 12 of the HTL Cup Series season, the Charity 350, to open up the month of December. We're in ABN's backyard, our home state, our home track. Once again, HTL plays visit to the 1.5-mile racetrack located perfectly in the middle between Louisville, Kentucky and Cincinnati, Ohio. Instead of being in the playoffs, regular season action on the line, and it is quite an important race. 3 races remain. After tonight equals 4. Can you get yourself into the top 16 in points? Can you make yourself a playoff contender here tonight? We're glad you're with us for what should be a lot of fun racing. This race is typically fun and exciting and more flowing and momentum-based races of the season. It's open setup for the first time. A lot of people get to the race track in a different way than we have before. For us here at ABN, it's exciting always to be there. We don't get to do it very often. We do it here. This will be our last time in Kentucky this year. Last time until next June that we get to be in the state of Kentucky for a race. So let's get into it. Let's have some fun here tonight. And let's start with a look into the points going into tonight. Mark Kissenweather leads the table still. 30-point advantage over Bren Roberts. Patrick Oberstadt in third there at 310 points. Pacey Wygent, Josh Susie joining the Winners Club. Those marked in cyan are race winners this season. You'll see 3 different colors on this screen. We'll talk about the other colors in a second. Those in blue don't have race wins, but they are still playoff eligible. Eli Sasek currently leads the bunch without a race win so far, as he has routinely throughout his HTL Cup Series career. This is his highest spot, though, being without a race win. He sits 6th in points. Pretty safe on the margin, but not locked in by any stretch of the imagination. Good results next week at Sebring could help bolster that effort before we get to Daytona, with Bristol in between. Tucker Sawyer also, likewise, we're looking more at Sebring next week, last road course race of the regular season, but it's also coming to his own on the ovals as well, between him racing in HTL this season, between him racing in ABN Champ Car. He has some experience here at Kentucky now. He's sitting 7th in points, doing pretty well, just a point off of his team boss there, 6th and 7th. Chad Slotsworth, your Daytona 500 winner, has not had the best of luck recently, hasn't needed it. He's got a race win in pocket. He's still top 10 in points. You look at others like Zach Meredith, Louis Sharp, Stephen Oberstadt. They're on the fringe, trying to get into the top 12 and trying to stay there. Meredith with a race win helps his case quite a bit, but it's not a guarantee. Look further down the order. This is where things get a little bit more interesting. Bailey Thompson. It's the in and out show of the top 16 for Thompson and Apperson. Apperson seems fairly safe, but not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination.
Make Bailey feel bad. Get to her.
We'll apologize here for just a second. Got to pull this down for just a moment. Take care of the audio. Drivers, we can hear the drivers for just a moment. We don't really want to hear them in case things go bad. We wouldn't have wanted to hear them back in Pocono last week. That was a wild race. There we go. Things are back in motion there. Let's go ahead and bring the standings back up here, and let's talk more about the top 16 and those just outside of it. Bailey Thompson, 17th in points, using a wild card spot at the moment. Zach Apperson, 13th. He doesn't need a wild card just yet, but the margins are tight As you can see, Hunter Peach in 16th in points is currently the first one replaced, and it's a very small margin between Peach, Thompson, Henderson. 2 points separate those 3 spots. Alfred Denny, his podium last week in Pocono puts him 19th in points. Both the 25 and the 21 have played a lot into how this season has gone late on. Both of them had good results to move themselves up. Remember, they were both outside the top 30 just a month and a half ago. Josh Arnold, David Smith Jr., they're on the fringe of the top 20, but now they're in need of results in a hurry. We know David Smith Jr. can do so. Josh Arnold's a race winner in his own right. We know what they can do. It's a matter of if they can put that together in 3 races that stack against them all the way until Daytona. Josh Arnold loves Bristol, has not had results to go with it at Bristol. David Smith Jr. kind of up and down. Obviously came in, missed a few races, filling in now the 54 for NFG Motorsports. Making the playoffs at this point would just be an added bonus. He's already done really well to get that car in contention, sitting 21st in points. Matt Vorndren, not in the 81 anymore this season. We'll talk about the new cars in just a moment. Elias Flores and Dustin Hall outside the top 20, needing a lot of help over the next month to try to make it into the playoffs. The drivers are ready to go, and so are we. So let's go ahead and go over the starting grid for the Charity 350 here at Daytona, here at Kentucky. Bear with me. It's been a long day. Pacey Wygent, your pole sitter, starts on the front row alongside last week's winner, Josh Soucy. Both of them race winners this season, looking for more wins if they can do so. Soucy had lost the championship here at Kentucky last season. Would love to return to form here in the best way possible. Zach Meredith, Tucker Sawyer. Meredith, the race winner, his best starting spot in Kentucky. He starts 3rd alongside Sawyer. His best starting spot on an oval in 4th. Patrick Oberstadt, Hunter Peach make up row number 3. Patrick Oberstadt in 5th. Remember, got moved to the end of the longest line for a restart violation last week after unofficially winning the race. 3 race wins this season. He's not hurting. Hunter Peach, though, is hurting. He needs results quickly. A top 6 starting spot is what the doctor ordered. Can he convert it? Elias Flores starts well, hasn't finished well. Can he buck the trend at a track he's got experience at more than others? We'll see. Brady Smith filling in the 95, not playoff eligible. He's not going to have the minimum start requirement. He needs 10 starts to be playoff eligible. He's only going to be able to get to 9 at most. He starts in row number 4, though, trying to play spoiler. Dustin Hall and Ross Baxter, as you see the field rolling around the racetrack at the moment. Going to be a lot of fun seeing how this all plays out. But Dustin Hall and Ross Baxter in your top 10 as things sit at the moment. They're ahead of Bobby Flowers and Dale Markowski. Bobby Flowers, a new charter owner. He owns 2 of them, the 71 and the 81 for Outlaw Esports. They're further down the order. He is outside top 10 in 11th alongside Markowski. Byron Jones, Stephen Oberstadt in row number 7. Both of them representing different paint schemes on their cars. We'll see them throughout the night as well. Bailey Thompson and Eli Sasek sitting in row number 8, 15th and 16th on the grid. Josh Arnold and Alfred Denny sitting in row number 9. Zach Apperson and Mark Kissenmother, they make up your top 20 in row 10. Zach Apperson in the pink for breast cancer awareness. Mark Kissenmother in his traditional number 2 car in 20th. David Smith Jr., also one of those representing a charity, that time St. Jude, on his car. Bryn Roberts in row 11 alongside of him, starting in 22nd. Blake Henderson and Richard Odie starting in row number 12, both of them representing charities as well. And then you'll have Jason Scott in the 74 for Joe Show Racing, and Lily Frazier, the first of the Outlaw cars, in row 13 tonight. Caitlin Height filling in for Callie Height, starts in row 14, 27th alongside Ohio's own Olivia Pereira. Chelsea Carter alongside Cody Pennell start in row 15 to make up your top 20. Penultimate row, Gary Donaldson and Angel Santiago, the 22 and the 90, and they're followed only by the 81 of John Matthews, the second Outlaw car. John Matthews, formerly making his first HTL Cup Series start as a full-time competitor. Information to go along. Stages, lap 40 and lap 90. No cautions for those stages. You got to race through them. Caitlin Height, Brennan Proudfoot, Pacey Wygant, John Hagan, your winners here at Kentucky over the years. Someone new will add their name to that list as things sit. Josh Susie, your outside front row on the qualifying order, was your fastest lap a couple seasons ago. We go green, and Sawyer's in trouble. Remember, Susie had a penalty for those that missed it from Pocono a week ago. So Sawyer started front row and immediately gives up several spots. But we are underway here in Kentucky in a big way. Sawyer continues to drop backwards. He started this race, qualified for it, started second, and is now all the way down outside the top 5. He is in 7th place. Wygant in the clear. Oberstadt up to second. Meredith in 3rd, where he started, but trying to challenge for that 2nd spot as they go into 3 and 4. Asymmetrical racetrack here, and caution is out for the first time. And it is for, it looks like, Alfred Denny. Take a look at what happened here to the 21, and you see the damage on the 21. And this is from high above, looking at Alfred Denny. Looks like he just drifts up wide. Does he get turned by Chelsea Carter? Looks like he comes down a little bit in front of the 23, more than Chelsea Carter moved up. There's Josh Susie, who started at the back of the field and gets a little bit of that contact. That's where some of that left front contact came from. More of it comes right here. And a pancake against the wall inside safe barrier here at Kentucky. Despite Kentucky not being on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series calendar for a few years, it is one of those tracks that has safer barrier all the way around, both on the outside and inside walls. Cushions the blow a little bit, although Alfred Denny's not going to feel the cushion of that, having an issue on lap number 2 to bring out our opening caution in the Bluegrass State. He will be getting ready to come down pit lane, and I would assume just one of a few to come down pit lane. There's John Matthews. A couple others there behind. That is Gary Donaldson, and I believe Angel Santiago there behind as well at the tail of the field. Some takers here on pit lane. And we'll bring up here some interesting information. HTL Cup Series action continues all the way through the month, all the way up to the holiday break. Sebring next week, Bristol, and then the Firecracker 400 at Daytona, December 22nd. We have the off week for Christmas and the New Year. And then we're back January 5th for the Southern 500, which kicks off the playoffs. The round of 16 begins in 2026. Looks like some splash and dashes happening there. Caitlin Height with a splash and dash. Josh Susie coming in, making some adjustments. Open setups, remember, you can make in-car adjustments or in-pit lane adjustments. And some drivers doing just that, getting an interesting feel for how the car is. Got to stay on top of it. This is a racetrack that will progressively get cooler as the race goes along. Everyone already feeling that and dialing things in a little bit more accordingly. So it is Pacey Wygant and Patrick Oberstadt that lead the way here at Kentucky. First caution of the night coming to our first restart. A 2-car incident. Alfred Denny off the nose of Chelsea Carter in the path of Josh Susie, your track record holder for HTL here at Kentucky. As the lights go off on the pace car, we are 1 lap to green here in the Bluegrass State. Car on the inside lane. That is the 23 of Chelsea Carter. And I believe there was a small issue getting that car fired up. That car is being waved around the pace car to catch up at the very tail end of the field. Josh Susie back in 30th as well. He is outside row 15 on this restart. Alfred Denny still on pit lane, getting some repair work done. We talked about him landing flush against the inside safe barrier on the back straightaway. That does not come without its own cost, and that cost is suspension damage that needs to be repaired before he's allowed to return to the racetrack. And I think actually Alfred Denny, I think he's saying his day is done. Despite the light contact and the relatively in-place bodywork, suspension damage might be too much to repair. And so we're already down one car, 2 laps in. It is Wygant and Overstat. Green flag in the air and away we go. Wygant got a really good start off of that. So did Zach Meredith. And off to the races we go once again. Single file, first 5 cars in the field. Wygant down the Blowers. Dustin Hall's made his way up to 4th. Here comes Patrick Overstat back on the attack against Zach Meredith. We talked about the asymmetry around this racetrack. 1 and 2, more banking than in 3 and 4. This is still one of the flatter 1.5 mile racetracks on the calendar. Turns 1 and 2, its original profile, 14 degrees of banking. 11 degrees of banking over in 3 and 4. 3 and 4 wider than 1 and 2. It is very much the opposite of Texas, which is flatter in 1 and 2 than in 3 and 4. We've seen some pretty classic finishes over the seasons, both in real life and in HTL. Who can forget the first time HTL came here on ABN Broadcasting? Photo finish between Caitlin Height and Brandon Proudfoot. First time we've run open setup here at Kentucky Speedway. We've had one issue early on in this race, everyone beginning to find their rhythm. At this point, though, lap 9 complete here at Kentucky. Pole sitter Pacey Wygant has led every single lap so far. Trouble back in the back. That is Dale Markowski, and caution's out for the second time. This time out of turn 4. Not sure how much contact there was for Markowski, the Cleveland native, representing Youngstown State on that car. Some sort of issue. We'll see what happened. Second caution of the night. And you see it's already triggered, and it's between teammates, the 33 and the 8. 3 wide there with Olivia Pereira. And we will go from high above and take a look at it here. The 96 car representing the Trevor Project. One of the many charities being represented here in this race. You have the 8 of Cody Pennell. Looks like Pennell maybe gets forced up the racetrack just a little bit. We'll see. Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like a lot of netcode. Actually, netcode's what pulls Murkowski around. And Pinnell just kind of pushes him back up towards the wall. 74. Jason Scott ends up doing the fatal blow there for the 33. And this is where we pick up the cameras, as he just gets avoided by John Matthews in the 81. Eli Sask in the 9. Well, I'm about to back it up here of where we catch up to everything pretty late. This is off of Ross Baxter, who had an issue earlier on. Everyone was trying to avoid him. See if we can get an onboard shot here. Let's go ahead and see if we can ride on board with Jason Scott. And here we go. Second start of the season, second start of his career here in the HTL for Jason Scott in the 74 for Joe Show Racing. Not a whole lot he can do in that situation. So you see the caution come out and the lights come on. So some more work to be done here as you see Murkowski on pit lane. Alfred Denny, his day is done. He is the only driver so far who has had that issue. Everyone else still ongoing here. While we're at it, take a look at some of the charity paints that are on display here. Dustin Hall, front runner. He's part of the reason we had the Jimmy Strong effort when ABN and HTL first came together. Once again, running a charity on his car, representing the Get to Giving for kids this winter. There's a lot of stuff going on here. We have a couple schemes going on for American Heart Association. Millie's on Dustin Painter's car, or Dustin Hall's car. Byron Jones is one of those running American Heart Association. You see on his rear quarter panel, William Jones, family member of Byron, who suffered with heart disease. Likewise, Bobby Blowers, the 91. You saw him just in that frame as well, also running an American Heart Association car. He's running the red and white here tonight. Josh Susi is running a camouflage 24 car in favor of the armed forces. Gary Donaldson, the 22, running a car for law enforcement tonight. A couple of cars running around here with some good causes on it. Same goes for Steven Oberstadt, running the number 3 right now for a Triangle Beagle Rescue. Obviously, Team Ralph, that hits close to home for the Oberstats, and that is present on his car here tonight as well. We get ready for our second restart tonight. A car coming down pit lane. Couldn't identify who that was off the rip there. We'll get a look here in just a moment. Front of the field, though, is Pacey Wygant and Zach Meredith at the front of the field. Wygant, once again, perfect on the line. And away we go. Car coming down pit lane, Kissenweather in the 2. Wygant, Oberstadt, 1-2. These two have battled before this season, battled for a race win. Oberstadt was victorious in that. We try again here. Meredith in 3rd, Blowers in 4th, Hall in 5th, Jones in 6th, Hunter Peach in 7th. Then it's Flores, Thompson, and Sawyer, your top 10 at the moment. Blake Henderson has made his way up into the 11th spot from 23rd on the grid. A little bit of contact there just in front between Sawyer and Thompson. Forced Henderson to check up, and he's under threat now from Brady Smith. And it looks like that is potentially his teammate. It is his teammate, Zach Apperson, right behind him. Riding on board with Henderson. Sitting right now in the 11th spot, trying to take on Tucker Sawyer. You see how flat this racetrack is through 3 and 4. It's wider, multiple lanes. That's the theory. It's being tested right now. It's worked and then it hasn't. It didn't work so much last season. It did work in season 3 and 4. Looks like it's working a little bit better here in season 7. And Henderson's using the outside lane to make a pass happen. He's going to move himself up into the top 10, flirt with the wall, and try to hold on to that spot. Likewise, we do have Steven Oberstadt. He's trying to make his way back forward. He's lost spots early on in this race. He is in 20th after starting this race in 14th. Trying to get around Olivia Pereira and will force his way through around the 96 for 19th. So he's got one of those spots back. Josh Susi also on the climb, representing the Wounded Warrior Project. As I mentioned before, camouflaged out. You don't see it from this shot, but the side of the car very much camouflaged as he tries to surge forward. Remember, he had an end-of-line penalty to serve after the contact with Bren Roberts at Pocono a week ago. He is climbing his way back through the field. He is up to 20th, looking at the back of Steven Oberstadt and Ross Baxter as he tries to climb forward. Another new-looking car here, Elias Sasek. Not in the typical Ascent colors here. In the white and rainbow Pride machine. There's a couple of those in the field. Pereira's in the other. Markowski's had another issue, and it is a pretty significant issue here. We will take a look here in just a second at what happened to Dale Markowski. It has not caused a caution, but here's a live replay from Dale Markowski, who had an issue out of turn number 2. Huge impact. And that car is done for the day. That one is one you don't get away from. And Markowski avoided bringing out a yellow. So we stay green on our 23rd lap here in Kentucky. It is still Pacey Wygant leading the way, while Patrick Oberstadt and Zach Meredith duke it out for second place, as they have since the restart. Oberstadt, the 88, that red car in the bottom. Right now being pressured by a couple of forwards. Behind these two is Dustin Hall. And that Millie's number 1. And then you have Bobby Blowers, the American Heart Association, number 91. Not far away. It's side by side, as close as you can get out of turn 2. Getting ourselves a little bit of a barn burner here in stage 1 that ends on lap 40. And Meredith gets on through. So Oberstadt now has to try to collect himself before the next challenger, Dustin Hall, appears. The Utah native sitting in 4th, looking for his first win in several seasons. Last time Dustin Hall was in victory lane 3 seasons ago, season 4. Many, many moons ago for the number 1 car. And Dustin Hall juggling his efforts between HTL and Team Conti Sim Performance, where he has worked with the eNASCAR team for several years now. He has not raced continuously in those 3 seasons since his last win. He took a lot of season 4 and season 5 away, came back last season. But in terms of time duration, still a pretty long winless drought by time. A lot of winless droughts on the Tombstone Racing team, though. Blake Henderson has not won since season 2. He has not won an HTL race on ABN screens. His only ABN televised win was the ABN Daytona 500 a couple years ago. He would love to have a good result here and try to grab his first win in almost 3 years in HTL. He is up to 9th at the moment. So he's near the sharp end of the timing board. But that's where things get difficult. Elias Flores, we talked about him needing really good results and quickly. This is what the doctor ordered. He has been in this position before in the 99, but he's not held on to it. Very similar situation right now early on. He's looked strong. Can he finish strong here tonight? Hunter Peach at 7th, right behind Byron Jones. They're your bottom half of your top 10. Bryn Robertson 10th rounds out the group. And they have all walked away to the tune of 8/10 from Bailey Thompson, who has got a mirror full of Tucker Sawyer and Caitlin Height. Caitlin Height, a winner here. As we talked about, the first time HTL came to Kentucky, Caitlin Height beat Brandon Fetterplace in a photo finish. Filling in now for Callie Height in the 87. It's been a whirlwind time for Caitlin Height. Part-time effort, not racing for the championship, not racing for playoffs. Racing as a fill-in driver. Her one attempt as an independent entry, she failed to qualify for the first time in her career at Charlotte. She has filled in for the 61 for Valfreya. She is now in the 87 for that team. As Caitlin Height is up 14 spots. Started this race in the 27th position, is up to 13th at the moment. Nestled in between Tucker Sawyer and Zach Apperson. Josh Susie, he is on the climb. He has made his way up into the 14th position. The fastest man on the racetrack is on the move, trying to stiff arm his way around the breast cancer awareness number 4. It looks like he's going to have a pretty good way of doing that through 3 and 4, and does. And Apperson slots in line behind him, and whoa, trouble! Susie in the fence got loose. Apperson had nowhere to go, and that is a car with suspension damage. And just like that, his efforts in trying to push through the field end in nothing. Almost got hit by a car going by. He's got his car down on the apron. And just like that, Susie's day comes undone and comes to what can be presumably seen as an end here at Kentucky, just 32 laps in. Fastest man on the racetrack, no more. Well, take a look at what happened here. Josh Susie trying to get his way around. You see him just bobble it just a little bit right. If we can get it to slow down just a little bit. Right here. Steps out. Right on the exit of turn 4. Nowhere for Apperson to go because he slid him right in front of Apperson. And that little contact sends Susie right front into the safer barrier. And you can see no rotation in that right front tire. No longer connected to the suspension behind it. That was Chelsea Carter that almost crashed in avoidance. And Susie's day is now effectively come to an end. Meanwhile, in that exchange, new race leader, it is not Pacey Wygant. It is now in the hands of Zach Meredith, trying to win another stage after winning in Charlotte last month. He's got 5 laps to hold off the double zero of Wygant. grab another stage win. Stage wins worth 1 playoff point when we get to the round of 16 after the new year. Meredith looked really strong at Charlotte. Looking really strong right now. Like, the biggest concern was going to be Josh Soucy getting through the field. He had already made his way up into 14th, battling for that 13th spot with Apperson when that crash took place. And now Soucy's day is done. He joins Markowski and Alfred Denny on the retirement queue. 2 cautions in this race. 1 for Markowski, 1 for Alfred Denny on lap 2. It's been green since, and we're looking good to go green through the rest of the stage as we come to 3 to go in stage 1. A reminder, stage ends on lap 40, stage 2 ends on lap 90. Josh Soucy, your track record holder, 29.805 going into tonight. And that is something that will remain. Soucy had managed to get a 30.4, had not managed to get beyond that. Two laps to go in stage number 1. Zach Meredith leads the way. Has got about a quarter second on Wygant. They have pulled away to a tune of about a second almost to Patrick Oberstadt. And Oberstadt likewise has put an equal distance between himself and Dustin Hall, who sits in 4th ahead of Hunter Peach. Bobby Blowers, Blake Henderson has continued to climb up to try to join his teammate Dustin in the top 5. He's got Blowers in his way, but they're both trying to chase down the top 5 here in the stage. White flag in stage 1. Bryn Roberts 8th. Bailey Thompson's made her way back into the top 10. She's sitting in 9th. Josh Arnold in the top 10 as things sit, grabbing a solitary stage point as things currently stand. Tucker Sawyer will be the first one missing out on stage points as Meredith comes out of turn 4. Stage 1 belongs to 17. And as we mentioned, no stage breaks here on intermediates. We race right through it. And Zach Meredith's pretty okay with that. He's got a long run car, and he is beginning to put the gap on Pacey Wygant. Oberstadt in the 3rd spot. Hunter Peach getting around Dustin Hall for 4th. Dustin Hall beginning to lose a little bit of pace in that number 1 car. Almost to lap 45 here in Kentucky Speedway. Racing continues on here in the Bluegrass State. A look from the spotter cam. Looking at Hunter Peach as he pulls away from Dustin Hall. Side by side, this battle here between Henderson and Blowers. Henderson on the inside lane, Blowers to the outside lane. We've seen the outside be the prevalent place early on. Hunter Peach made his pass on Dustin Hall to the inside lane. Henderson trying to do the same to Blowers. He has the 6th spot at the line. See if it plays out. There's Bobby Blowers. A good look at the American Heart Association car. Both Blowers and Henderson running charity cars here tonight. Another good look here as they roll around the racetrack. Another good look as we put a spotlight on some of the charity cars here tonight. Millie's Princess Foundation, obviously on the number 1 car. You see that now on your screen. Jimmy Strong, the hashtag on the C-pillar. That was the very first HTL event we broadcast, the Jimmy Strong charity event. It was at Daytona to lead into season 3. Wilson Hall, big factor behind that. Have a look here, another animal-based charity here. The Kitty Cat Haven Rescue on the 27 car. Bailey Thompson. David Smith Jr. running the St. Jude's number 54 car. As pit stops come for the first time, it's Hall and Blowers in pit lane for the very first time tonight. Under green, so is Byron Jones. And caution is out immediately as the pit window begins, and it is for Chelsea Carter. And that car looks pretty well destroyed. So caution is out for the first time, and Carter's going to go ahead and remove that car from the racetrack here. And we will take a second to look at what happened to the number 23. This is going to be from high above. 23, center of your screen, just at the bottom here. Looks like trying to avoid Byron Jones. I don't know if Carter was trying to make it to pit lane. The way that looked, it looked like the brakes locked up at the rear of the car, and Carter just whipped it around, and this is going to hurt. John Matthews got lucky with Markowski back on lap 9. Not lucky there. I don't know if Carter was trying to come down pit lane there or was avoiding Byron Jones. Maybe didn't know that Jones was coming down pit lane. I don't know. Either is very possible with that. Carter's running low on the racetrack, and the way you have to come down pit lane, you can't really ride the yellow line to come down pit lane. You kind of got to arc it in. And either way, Carter caught out in a huge way and obviously can't make that car return to pit lane under its own power. Stops it and has it returned on the tow truck. I do want to take a look here, if we can, at the onboard in slow motion. And I actually want to back it up here. Onboard Chelsea Carter, not racing the 78 for Ode Racing. Racing for the 23 for Chelsea Carter Racing. Working around Apperson here. Tries to anyway. Peeks to the inside. Apperson avoids the 60. So seemingly aware. Listening to the throttle, I think Carter was trying. To come down pit lane. I believe Carter was trying to make a last-second decision to come down pit lane because you hear the throttle cut out. Like she's aware of what's going on with Byron Jones, and it seems like there may have been a last-second decision to try to come down pit lane, and it just doesn't work. And unfortunately, that is going to end Carter's day as well, so the retirement list gets a little bit longer. As you see some of the cars that came down pit lane under that yellow, or right before the yellow came out, have to get waiver rounds. We have several cars out. Chelsea Carter, Richard Odie, Josh Susie, Dale Markowski, and Alfred Denny all out of this race. 5 retirements to the first 50 laps. A retirement every 10 laps is the pace we're setting right now. John Matthews on pit lane after that contact with Carter. Blowers just got the free pass. Not the free pass, a wave around. Was trapped behind the pace car, but ahead of the lead lap cars, and joins the tail end in 26th position. Wygant and Meredith, front of the field. Everyone has had a pit stop at this point in the race. Stage 2 ends on lap 90. This is our third restart of the night. As things currently sit, we've had a pretty good race so far here in Kentucky. For everyone tuning in, we're glad you're with us here in the Bluegrass State, our home racetrack. Green flag flies, and away we go. Side by side, soaring it through 3 and 4. Meredith on the outside, Wygant to the inside. Oberstadt watching and wait in third. Peach in fourth. Henderson's made his way to the top 5. Ahead of Roberts, Arnold, Sawyer, Sharp, and Height, your top 10 as things currently stand. Everyone wants a piece of Zach Meredith at the moment. Here comes Patrick Oberstadt battling Pacey Wygant. Side by side, Henderson goes up a lane higher, trying to find some clean real estate. Clean air is king here at Kentucky, and Henderson uses that clean air to get ahead of Hunter Peach and move up into the 4th spot. Meredith, fast lap of the race, 30.05 for the 17. Meredith sitting at the front, but it's very close quarters throughout the top 10 here. Caitlin Height now the gatekeeper to the top 10 in the 87 car. As both Wygant and Henderson try to now work their way around the 88 of Patrick Oberstadt, your 3-time race winner this season. Meredith's got 1 race win at Charlotte. So does Wygant. Wygant has 1 race win. Blake Henderson, as we mentioned, his winless streak, pretty long and elaborate. But he gets ahead. He gets spun. Cars in the fence. Henderson in the grass. As he went for 3rd place. Very similar to what happened with Josh Susie and Zach Apperson. Henderson saves it. Goes the opposite direction, goes to the grass and takes a ride, and keeps that car pointed on the right and narrow position there. But both Henderson and Wygant, now 25th and 26th, last cars on the lead lap. And that gives Meredith a breath of fresh air. Only Oberstadt in his mirror. Roberts about a second behind. And Josh Arnold now has a pretty clear path forward in 4th. Sawyer and Height, 5th and 6th. Lily Sharp's up to 7th. David Smeal Jr., Cody Pennellen, Hunter Peach in the top 10. And we will take a look in just a moment at what happened between Henderson and Pacey Wygant. Bear with us. Took us a second to find the replay. Henderson gets in front of Wygant here, the 25 and the 00 on your screen, but gets loose in the process. Wygant puts a little bit of contact in there, but they are both out of control in a hurry. Roberts goes towards the wall, scrapes it a little bit. Hunter Peach has to bail out of it big time, but avoids both of them. And you see Wygant, he goes for a ride and immediately spins. Henderson does a little curb hopping here over the Legends Oval. And he continues across the grass to the paint. And Pacey Wygant has to try to get himself up to speed here after getting that car rode down. Wild stuff from both of them here. We'll get back to live pictures. It is now Patrick Oberstadt at the front of the field, ahead of Zach Meredith. He chased down and passed the 17. Really good save by both. The 25 and the 00. Avoiding any damage there in the melee. Wild few laps there. We now sit on lap 61, 60 laps completed here at Kentucky Speedway for the Charity 350. Oberstadt feeling comfortable. This is a team that when we got into the open set era here in HTL, this 4-race stretch from Phoenix to tonight, Carolina Beer Racing, and whoa, Oberstadt loose out of 4. And Oberstadt gets loose. We're going to talk about how, to start, he didn't feel confident, but that has changed over the course of the last month. But here you go, a reason to not be comfortable, almost going into the inside wall on pit lane, avoids doing so, but has to go super slow down the pit road line. And he will now end up 26. So turn 4, a calamity corner here in the Bluegrass State. And Zach Meredith back at the front of the field. Bren Roberts, next man up. Josh Arnold now in a podium spot. And now, pressure's on Zach Meredith, who has been renowned for being in these positions and doing what Oberstadt just did. He's got to try to go and avoid that. Remember, his Season 3 championship, 2 race wins en route to that. He's got one at Charlotte. He won Michigan. Can't do that this season. Can he put one at Kentucky, though? Right now, he's got one of the best-looking cars, one of what looks to be the most comfortable-looking cars at the moment. Bren Roberts running the exact same setup that Patrick Oberstadt is running. We'll see what he can do. Chevrolet versus Ford at the front, Toyota in third and fourth. And keep in mind, Caitlin Height, who won the first ever HTL race here in the Bluegrass State, sits fifth now in the 87, looking to get Valfreya Motorsport its first HTL Cup Series victory. Coming to 25 laps to go in stage 2. .25 laps to go in stage 2. We're on lap 66 of 145. We're going to step aside for a quick 30-second break here. Your top 5 right now are very competitive. Zach Meredith leads the way over Bren Roberts, Josh Arnold, Tucker Sawyer, and Caitlin Height. We'll be back in just a few seconds right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Charity 350 here for the HTL Cup Series. We are underway and in a pretty good way. Very exciting race here at Kentucky Speedway tonight so far. Almost 70 laps in the books out of 165. 26 cars on the lead lap. 27 cars running at the moment from 33 starters. You see the field rolling around on your screen. Patrick Oberstadt trying to stay on the lead lap here as the lead pack go on by. Outstanding stuff here at Kentucky Speedway. It is Zach Meredith that leads the way. Doing an outstanding job here as we get ready to start lap 70. $145 laps, 165 initially. I'm mistaken on that. 145. 165 is for 400 kilometers here. We're at 145 for 350. Let's go ahead and go through the field. We feel confident. 3 cautions so far tonight in 70 laps. It's been a really good race. Best of the open setup era so far. And Charlotte was a good race too. But this one has had a little bit of everything, and we are now 70 laps in the books. Tampa Zone Zach Meredith currently leads the way, and he has had a pretty decent lion's share. 38 of those 70 laps completed have been under the 17's wing at the moment. He qualified well, and he is currently sitting well in the top spot. Josh Arnold sits in the second spot. Started this race in 17th place, has yet to lead a lap here, but the Militia Racing Club driver feeling pretty good about himself so far. He's up 15 spots, but he is someone who needs a race win to try to make it into the playoffs. He has a race win. He won at the Brickyard last season, and he is now runner-up to Zach Meredith, trying to seal the deal here in the Bluegrass State. Tucker Sawyer started this race top 4, has started feeling more and more comfortable on the ovals as it's gone on. Between his experience here in HTL and in the HTL Cup Series, he has now raced here 3 times, and it's beginning to show here. He is in the top 3. The Texas native trying to hold on to that the top 3 spot. For good reason, Caitlin Height from 27th on the grid has made it into 4th place. Just got around Bren Roberts. I've talked about it several times already. Won the first ever race here for HTL at Kentucky Speedway in a photo finish. Could be a photo finish, could be a walkaway. She's got a comfortable car. But importantly, for Valfreya Motorsports, it could be the team's first win here in HTL tonight if Caitlin Height can pull through. Bren Roberts, he watched his teammate have issues. Patrick Oberstadt went from the lead spot to 26th place. Out of turn 4, he is beginning to have issues as well in the 83 car. He is dropping pace, trying to keep that car underneath of him. This is a car that is getting looser and looser as the run goes along. They'll need to adjust that. They'll have to chase after it on the next pit stop cycle. Have to add a little bit of track bar to get that car tightened back up, because this track, as we mentioned at the top of the show, will get colder as the run goes along. The colder it is, the looser it's going to get. Running in 6th, Lee Frazier. Sitting at the moment, doing a pretty decent job as things stand. I mentioned the 71. One of the 2 new charters for Outlaw Esports, along with the 81 of John Matthews, who has not had a great day. Started this race in last. He is currently sitting in the 28th position, 3 laps down. Frazier, on the other hand, we know how good Frazier can be and has been. And that is no different here. The 71 running well so far in the 8th spot. Sorry, in the 6th spot. Davis Smith Jr., 7th right now for him in that St. Jude's, number 54. Started this race down in 21st. He's gained 14 spots. He is someone that also needs good results. He needs good results all of the next 4 races to try to get things to fall his way in a very tight mid-pack in the points conversation. Dustin Hall, in a practicality sense, is a win to be in to the playoffs. Outside the top 20 in points. Running that Millie's Princess Foundation number 1 on his car. He is currently sitting in the 8th spot. Starting this race in 9th. He has not left the top 10 so far this race. But top 10s at this stage, not quite good enough. Unless you can sprinkle a win in amongst those results. Eli Sasek from 18th to 9th, he has halved his gap to the front after starting this race in row 9. And now white and rainbow, number 9 Machine for Ascent Racing, car in the fence. After Cody Pennell got loose, that was Bailey Thompson that put it in the fence, trying to avoid the number 8. And Thompson goes up to the 10th spot, getting around Cody Pennell. Cody Pennell sitting in the 11th spot after starting this race in 30th. Did not qualify well, but has raced well up until the most recent point. That little hiccup there out of turn 2 has changed a little bit. Again, for the Carolina Beagle Racing cars, they are all on very similar setups. If their cars are loose, it's not going to get better as this run goes along. So it's all about keeping that car under you and making adjustments and making the right adjustments on pit lane on your second pit stop. Zach Apperson sits behind Byron Jones. We skipped him by accident. We'll go back to him in a second. Zach Apperson 13th in the breast cancer awareness number 4. He was trying to get around Byron Jones there for 12th. Started this race 19th. He is 13th in points at the moment, which right now is good enough to point in to the HTL Cup playoffs. What he would love to do is get top 12 and make that a discussion that doesn't even have to happen. Right now, he is not doing too awful bad. He's sitting behind Byron Jones in that number 60 car. Now trying to make a pass happen, and will do so. Up to 12th for the 4. Swept down under the apron there, you saw, to get around the American Heart Association number 60, that black and white number 60. Byron Jones racing with family on his car, trying to find good results here, and currently battling back against Apperson. Your Talladega race winner sits 12th. Byron Jones still looking for his first career HTL win in 13th. Elias Flores, a little bit of latency for the Oakland native. He has lost 7 spots. Started this race 7th. He is down in 14th. Looked good in stage 1. The car has not gotten to him in stage 2. And likewise, he is now in a chase against the clock, while his other teammates also struggle. It is imperative for Flores to try to get it put together here as these cars battle together. Pennell is now in the mix. Every one of these cars outside the top 10, 11th through 15th on your screen. Bobby Blowers in that 15th spot. The second American Heart Association car did not have the smoothest pit stop. The first go around, and now trying to make up for it. He started this race 11th. He has been as high as the top 4, but now sitting in 15th place. Ross Baxter set behind the lap car of Mark Kissenweather. He is in the 16th spot after starting this race top 10, one of his best qualifying efforts of the season. He's felt a little bit wanderless and a little bit aimless, a little bit without direction so far this season. But he's had a quiet race so far tonight, and that has been very necessary for the 38 camp. Not a lot you can say about potential playoff chances for the 38 car. Keep the car in one piece and try to build on results to make the postseason run something to talk about. Blake Henderson, after that spin and that contact with Pacey Wygant, has made his way back up into the top 20. He is 17th at the moment after starting 23rd. He's got a fast race car, and he understands what he needs from it. It feels like his car is right where it should be pace-wise for this stage of the race. Unfortunately, track position is the name of the game, and he is without it once again. He is someone that needs good results. The car's capable of it. He's just going to try to recover the rest of this race. As we have 4 laps to go in stage 2, he will not score stage points as it stands. Steven Oberstadt, quiet race for him, and then number 3 for Triangle Beagle Rescue on the car. The purple highlights are appreciated in sentiment as Steven Oberstadt kept us up here in the booth and thought putting that car together looks fantastic. Unfortunately, it just has not had a ton of pace so far. 18th after starting 14th. Trying to find things to put together here. Again, pit stop's going to be important. The in pit stop adjustments are lifelines here in these open setup events. Brady Smith likewise will need to use those. In that 95 car, started this race top 10. The car just hasn't been there on race pace, though. He's down 10 spots. Make that 11 spots. He is in 19th place. The lone Canadian in the field, Jason Scott, sits in 20th place. Very quiet event after that contact early on with Dale Markowski on lap 9. That he recovered from, repaired the damage from. But the car just overall just hasn't had pace. Qualified 25th, up 20th, so he's up 5 spots. But trying to just tee through the rookie pains, his second career start in the series. Get to the finish line on the lead lap. That can be considered a success for the rookie. Akron zone, Olivia Pereira battling right now with Gary Donaldson for the 21st starting spot. Gets passed there by the 22, who's looking pretty good, and Wygen will go around as well. Pereira kind of a fish out of water there on that occasion from 21st to 23rd. The Josho racing car running with the Trevor Project on the nose. Has not had a lot of pace here tonight. Again, sitting above where she started, but looking for a lot more, and likely needs a caution to try to give some time to figure things out instead of having to think on the fly. Ascent Racing have not been able to do that very well so far tonight, looking at how they've regressed as this race has gone along. Tucker Sawyer really the only car to have a shot, and even he's regressed down to 10th. Gary Donaldson, his law enforcement number 22. National Law Enforcement Foundation on the 22 car. He's up 10 spots from 31st to 21st. Started this race in row 16. He's up 10 spots. Quiet and effective when he needs to be. Gary Donaldson doing just that. Not a championship contender by any stretch of the imagination, but a little more luck falls his way. A top 20 is very much in the cards. He's just got to keep the 00 Pacey Wygen at bay. Your pole sitter, after that contact with Henderson, has not recovered nearly the same as Henderson has so far. Has only recovered 4 of those spots back, now up to 22nd. But needs a lot of help, needs either a caution or a lot of drama on pit stops to get back into the conversation to try to contend for a race win here in Kentucky. He's been one of the faster cars, but not one of the luckiest, and you need a little bit of both to have the opportunity in motorsports. Angel Santiago, 24th, as we continue to cycle through. Meredith has swept the stages. We can go ahead and touch on that for a second. He has won Stage 1 and Stage 2. Trying to go for the stage sweep and try to win the race tonight. Caitlin Height up to second. We'll focus on that in a second as Pereira makes the first pit stop of lead lap cars. With over 50 laps to go, Santiago moves up to 23rd. Hunter Peach has sort of just fallen away. He is down in 24th place now. Pit stops will be very welcome for him. And Patrick Oberstadt, who has stayed so far on your lead lap, but he is in 25th, last car on the lead lap as things currently stand. There's your race leader, Zach Meredith. Tampa Bay's on by about a second, almost 2 seconds over Caitlin Height at the moment. Caitlin Height has done a really good job to shave away at the competition around her, but now has to close a pretty significant gap. Has time to do so, 50 laps to go, but will not be easy. Brent Roberts sitting in the 3rd spot. He has made his way back around Josh Arnold, who is likely going to be needing a pit stop here sooner rather than later. Everyone trying to hold off as long as possible. And the reason why we'll pull this graphic up bottom left of your screen, fuel mileage window 47 to 50 laps. It is a very sketchy distance at the moment. Everyone trying to realistically get beyond lap 100 if you can. Pereira came in first. Came in outside of that 50-lap window to get to the finish by 2 laps. But Pereira likely is not going to factor in how the top 10 is formed here, as looks like Lily Frazier comes down the pit lane. Trouble there for Roberts. Got a little tight, drifted up the racetrack, and then got wobbly loose. And I think pit stop's coming in mass. Meredith is in. Kalen Height is in. Roberts comes in. Arnold comes in. And here come just about everyone in the top 10. They have reached the number that they wanted to reach. And it is a smorgasbord of cars down pit lane. The entire top 12 down pit lane. Make that your top 16. The entire lead lap field on pit lane in the same window. Lily Frazier, first car out, came in a lap earlier, ahead of Dustin Hall on the racetrack, and it is a race against the clock to try to get back around and gain some spots and try to potentially put that 71 car on the podium for Outlaw Esports. We'll see how that plays out. Gonna gain some spots significantly here. Everyone's within the window. Hunter Peach came down pit lane. He missed his pit box the first go around. Sharp will not get to the podium, but will get right behind the 83 of Bren Roberts. Lily Frazier, realistically right now, is in your top 4. And that was a really good strategy call for the 71 to do so. Meredith, Height, Roberts, and Frazier, your top 4 at the moment. Dustin Hall, that one lap earlier stop, that undercut, worked significantly. Got around Josh Arnold, got around David Smeal, got around Bailey Thompson. He is in the top 5. And on strategy, everyone but Olivia Pereira is now good to the end of this race under regulation. If we need overtime, everyone becomes a little bit more sketchy. But under regulation, if this race finishes under green, we've only had 3 cautions tonight. If this race ends under green, everyone is good to the finish, which means Meredith now has to worry only about a handful of cars. He's got a 2.7 second gap on Caitlin Height at the moment. He's looking at Hunter Peach, one of his friends, just up the road from him here. Remember that faux pas that Peach had, missing his pit box in his first attempt to come down pit lane. Had to come back down pit lane to get service, and is now 25th, last car on the lead lap. How patient is Meredith going to be with Peach here, knowing that Caitlin Height is the next car up? Bren Roberts in 3rd, Lily Frazier in 4th, Dustin Hall your top 5. It goes all the way down through Josh Arnold, David Smeal Jr., Bailey Thompson, Tucker Sawyer, and Eli Sasek, your top 10 at the moment. Retirements, they are not insignificant here. Chelsea Carter, Richard Odie, Josh Susi, Dale Markowski, Alfred Denny. There's been 5 of them in this race. John Matthews on pit lane has gone a few laps down, had repair work that needed to be done after the contact with Chelsea Carter earlier on in the race back in stage 2. And Meredith's going to put Hunter Peach a lap down here. I think the understanding is that it is go time for the 17. You cannot afford to give up precious tenths when you have the winningest driver in HTL sitting runner-up with a beeline on the 17. That just isn't something that you have the ability to give. Coming to 40 laps to go here in Kentucky. Zach Meredith has done an outstanding job. Can it stay that way? "24 cars on the lead lap in what has been a very outstanding race here in the Bluegrass State. And there's still so much racing to go. Bobby Blowers has gotten around Tucker Sawyer. Tucker Sawyer had an issue is what happened. And I think we're going to take a look at what happened here on replay. This is Eli Sasek getting around his teammate, Tucker Sawyer. And this is going to be what happened to the 97, who is now down in 18th. He was in 9th at the time that this happened. Loose at a turn 2. You saw the puff of smoke a couple of laps ago. This was a source of it. Drifts it at a turn number 2. Does a really good job minimizing the damage. I would argue that there's not much damage at all in the 97 car. No caution either. Car stays running. But Tucker Sawyer will eat the loss there in losing 9 positions ultimately. Make that 10 positions on the racetrack. Flowers now in the 10th spot for a moment, has been passed by Elias Flores, who is beginning to charge once again. Short run car, it seems to have developed for the 99. Unfortunately, you need a long run car to get through this race. 3 cautions in this race. And what has turned into a potential race of the season candidate here in Kentucky. Abian's advocated for this racetrack for so many years because of its ability to do races like this. Season 3 started that off with a bang. Season 4, also great. Last season, a little mundane as the championship finale. We've had a lot of everything in this race so far tonight. It's been outstanding. 36 laps to go. Right now, focusing on the battle on the fringe of your top 10. Blowers under threat from Henderson and Apperson. Henderson, a great recovery so far. He is back up in contention. Remember, he was battling for the top 3, so he's still going to be disappointed with how this race has gone so far, given what could have been for the 25 camp. But he has the pace right now to still race his way into the top 10 on pace. He's gotten around his teammate Apperson without contact. That's been difficult the last month. But he is currently 12th, Apperson in 13th. Cody Pinnell down in 14th, a second adrift of the Tombstone Racing teammates right now. And he's got a mirror full of a smorgasbord of cars. That was the 81 of Matthews, who's off the lead lap. There's his teammate, Ross Baxter, Byron Jones, Stephen Oberstadt, all in that cluster with him. Programming update for those that are going to be sticking with us here throughout the evening. For those interested in the Avian community, wants to take a second to sort of talk about that. Huge impact inside wall, Byron Jones. Car 60. Significant damage, pancaked it, similar to Alfred Denny on lap 2 to kick off this race. Going to try to stay out for now, but that is a wounded car, significantly wounded. And it will not take long for that car to come back down the pit lane. And will likely end the 60s race after battling for the fringe just outside the top 10. That'll come to a stop. He is now tagged the outside wall as well. And going to try to avoid being in the way here. Staying out again, that is Brady Smith coming up to him. And that is unfortunate for Byron Jones, who is having a very serviceable day in that number 60. Unfortunately, it will not come to a great end for one of the coast-to-coast cars. Angel Santiago still on the racetrack as well. All 3 coast-to-coast cars running. Zach Meredith, though, running the best of the bunch for that team. He is leading by 2.8 seconds over Caitlin Height, who has not been able to firmly catch up to the 17 car. He has been on a league of his own ever since the retirement of Josh Susie and the incident between Blake Henderson and Pacey Wygant. He has not had a lot of threat. Byron Jones now comes down pit lane and surrenders the losing fight. Meredith, as we mentioned, the similarities to how this season has been compared to the last time we saw him in victory lane back in season 3, his championship campaign. 2 race wins, including a win at Charlotte. Checked off the list there. 2 stage wins tonight, and is looking comfortable so far. 3.3 seconds right now, the gap between Meredith and Caitlin Height. The gap continues to grow. Bren Roberts, the 83, third place for him at the moment. He has closed in on the 87. But as we saw in the last stint, the 83 did not have a great long-run car. Did they make the right adjustments in that last pit stop that should get them to the end of this race? Or is Bren Roberts going to have more of the same issue, trying to chase the car as the track continues to cool? The sun is setting here in Sparta, Kentucky, and the track's going to get a lot cooler over the next 25 minutes. It is already cooling down a significant amount on the front straightaway, where the sun is already set behind the grandstands. We'll pull your aggregate temperatures up here right now on the right side of your screen. 80 degrees the air temp right now. Wish it was that way in real life. 88 degrees the track temp. This race started at 103 degrees the track temp here at lap 1 of the race. So it's already dropped down a decent amount on the track temperature scale. Also, you can tell here a decent amount of wind, 10-mile-an-hour winds right now, and they are crosswinds across the straightaways. And it's also playing havoc with these cars in turn 4. Car's a little bit tight out of turn 2. Car's a little bit loose out of turn 4. It's pushing in on the cars through turn 4. It's coming from the outside of the racetrack in, and it's coming from the inside of the racetrack out in turn 2, so it's pushing the cars out towards that outside wall in turn 2. We've seen that a little bit here tonight as well. This is what we talk about, that when we talk about crosswinds. That's the direction that it's heading at the moment. With this track being asymmetrical, it's not as effective on these cars unless you're in a pack. Because now you have not only the air disturbance with the wind, but also the air disturbance with the cars around you. When you're on your own, it's a little bit easier to handle. Turn 4, though, when you're being pushed in, when it's pushing on the nose, it's trying to force the rear of the car to kind of steer the car, and that's where we've seen a lot of the spins so far tonight. However, we've not seen a lot of those spins since stage 2. It's been a very effective race so far. And obviously been knocking on wood the entire race so far. Every time we say that it stays that way. We are within 25 laps of the finish here in the Charity 350. For everyone that is tuning in so far tonight, we welcome you to the HTL Charity 350. We have more stuff coming up tonight. The ABN Creative Community, 3 races from their Cup Series season on NASCAR Racing 2003. Those will be airing live after this broadcast is over. If you weren't there to see it live on Saturday night, the encore coming up here tonight. Zach Meredith, Caitlin Height, Bren Roberts remain your top 3 at the moment. Caitlin Height trying to reel back in some of that time. Dropped down as far as 3.3 seconds. Now back within 3 seconds to the 17. But time is beginning to really dwindle away for the 87. And some of the work going on tonight here. There is Frazier, Lily Frazier right now sitting in the 4th spot. First race back in quite some time for Frazier. Was not an uncompetitive driver last time we saw her. Was a contending top 10 driver on a regular basis. And we're seeing more of that, especially with open setup prowess now in hand. We talked about the teething pains that would come with going from fixed setup where you can't make adjustments mid-race to open setup where the entire setup sheet is your canvas. The teething pains that we would see. We saw those teething pains last week at Pocono. It was not a pleasant race at Pocono a week ago. It was a chaotic race at Charlotte. It was even more chaotic at Atlanta where we had the plate race. Charlotte, though, everyone's general thoughts and processes on Charlotte was that it was a great race. Took a little bit to get there. We've gotten through the hump. Everyone now has an understanding of how this feels, and we're seeing that tonight. 3 cautions tonight for 12 laps here at Kentucky Speedway with less than 20 laps to go has been outstanding. Davis Mills Jr. looking for a top 5 right now on Josh Arnold, one of your closest battles right now in the top 10. Right now in the top 10, it is your closest battle at the moment. 5th and 6th on the racetrack at the moment. These are 2 drivers that need good results, and they need good results the entire month of December to have a shot at the playoffs. Arnold runs up the racetrack a little bit. Smil stays on the yellow line through 3 and 4. Different lines being run, being used in 3 and 4, which we've seen contribute to some of those photo finishes. It seems more unlikely that we're going to get a photo finish for the race win. Zach Meredith has had this race in control so far tonight, and it has been pretty outstanding as he comes up on a couple of lap cars here. Getting around, that is Gary Donaldson, putting him a lap down. He has led 95, make it 96 of 129 laps completed so far tonight. He has been outstanding, a rocket ship in that 17 car. Pereira next up to go a lap down in 22nd. It'll leave 21 cars on the lead lap by the time he has gotten around the 96 of Pereira. $15 laps to go. That's all that's left here in Kentucky Speedway before we head off to Sebring next Monday. 3 races after this in the regular season: Sebring, Bristol, Daytona. And then we have the off week for the holidays. And then Darlington opens up the round of 16 as it traditionally has in HTL. That's on January 5th next year. Side by side, this is Smil and Arnold battling for the top 5. Smil in the 54, Arnold in the 12. They run side by side. Arnold runs the outside lane, Smil runs the bottom. This is where they want to be in 3 and 4. And it looks like Smil is going to get clear, and he does. Davis Mills Jr. for the moment up to 5th. This is the battle between the 2 best Toyotas so far in the field, and what has been a surprisingly down day for Toyota. They have done traditionally pretty well across the last couple months. Not so far tonight. Josh Arnold in 6th now. Dustin Hall in 7th. Staying consistent. Has stayed quiet in this race, and that has been pretty key for the number 1 car. Eli Sasek also has been quiet tonight. He is in the 8th spot ahead of Bailey Thompson. Elias Flores in the top 10. And just outside the top 10, it is Henderson and Blowers battling for 11th place as things sit. Both of them needing good races. 91. Mostly just for the team side of things. Henderson needs to continue having good results to try to bolster his chances to make the playoffs here. Right now he's on the outside looking in. Again, this is the race of what could have been. He had a top 5 car. Contact with Pacey Wygent put both of them outside the top 5 with a long road to climb. Henderson's had a better job of that than Wygent. Wygent is up to 16th place. Henderson up to 11th. But Blowers will continue to fight him as this race continues to chime away 11 laps to go right now, coming to 10 at the line. Jason Scott further back. Another battle here. This is Brady Smith, Jason Scott, two teammates there for Joe Show Racing, and then Patrick Oberstadt in 21st, trying to get around both of them. He has had a down day, a couple of down weeks. But it hasn't been for lack of effort. Car was fast at Pocono, car was fast here. Things just sort of fell apart. Fell apart at Pocono due to a penalty for an illegal restart. And then obviously spun earlier in this race and just never fully recovered from that. Gets around the 95 of Smith. And now looks at Jason Scott trying to line up 19th place. The gap has opened up, though, for Zach Meredith as he leads with less than 10 laps to go. It is 3.3 once again between Meredith and Kalen Height. The 17 car has not been questionable tonight at all. Over the century mark on laps led. 104 laps led, coming to lead 105 of 138. He has been electric. Pacey Wygant led a lot of the opening stanza. Once Zach Meredith got a hold of that race lead, he did not look back. With 7 laps to go, it is 3.8 seconds the gap. It has been electric. Bren Roberts sitting in third. Makes up a little bit for what happened at Pocono between him and Josh Susi a week ago, where he got wrecked out and didn't even grab a top 20 out of that race. Obviously a race winner already this season. The points still matter to a degree. And Roberts will be able to collect a fair amount of those while Susi sits in the retirement line once again this season after having the fastest car in the race. Davis Mills Jr. has grabbed on to the back of Lily Frazier. And this battle for 4th place will now rage on between Toyota and Chevrolet, between Outlaw Esports and NFG Motorsports. Davis Mills Jr. has got a long-run car, and that pace is showing up at a pretty good time. He's got 5 laps now, to try to catch up to grab a podium. And he is someone that is thinking playoffs. He sits just within the top 20 in points right now and has a chance to help shake things up here in the Bluegrass State. The lights beginning to come on as the sun begins to set further and further behind the mountains here in northern Kentucky. 4 laps to go. Henderson too far away from Flores. He's to try to battle for that top 10. He has pulled away from Bobby Blowers to try to secure that 11th place. But again, what could have been for several cars here tonight. They know they're in the right direction, though, and that is a very important and pivotal fact as Meredith makes his way around Brady Smith. My apologies. That's not Brady Smith. That is Angel Santiago. My apologies. That's the 90. The teammate for Meredith there, Santiago, now sits in the middle. One of a couple cars in the middle. Brady Smith's behind Santiago. Car spun. That was not Zach Meredith. That was Patrick Oberstadt. Patrick Oberstadt spun again out of 4. His second time spinning out of 4. And it seemed like he was trying to just nurse that car home. That was the reason why. His car just not under him tonight. Nothing can make that more apparent than right now. But Zach Meredith has been nothing but comfortable. He takes the white flag. 1 lap to go, presented by Southern Cleaning Company. Over 100 laps led tonight. And opens up the scoring for 1.3 seconds ahead of Caitlin Height. These two shared the podium back in Michigan in Season 3, his first win on his way to that championship almost 3 years ago. Are you feeling deja vu? Zach Meredith grabs his second win of the season. He wins in Kentucky and bolsters his chance in the round of 16. Caitlin Height tries to bring Valfreya Motorsports its first victory. Will sit one spot shy. David Smil Jr. got around Bren Roberts at the end as Carolina Beagles struggle with long run pace. David Smil Jr. finishes on the podium in third, and will give a congratulatory bump to Zach Meredith. We will talk to him for the second time this season. Zach Meredith, your race winner here in the Charity 350. Everyone congratulating the 17. A little bit wild on the congratulations there. That was Frazier and Henderson on both sides of the 17. Got to make sure that car still passes tech. And your winter celebration presented by Henderson Graphics. Zach Meredith gets to burn it down in the Bluegrass State. He wins in Kentucky for the first time tonight. And his most dominant performance in his HTL career. While Zach Meredith celebrates, we'll step aside for a quick 30-second break, and we'll come back for post-race coverage here. More to come here on ABN Studios right after this. Stay with us here in Kentucky. Welcome, everyone, to Kentucky Speedway. The Charity 350 is in the books. Race of the season so far, 3 cautions for 12 laps of 125 in an outstanding race. Zach Meredith, your race winner over Caitlin Height and David Smil Jr., who did an outstanding job here tonight. We do have interviews coming up here with your podium finishers in just a moment. Before we do that, we'll go over the results as things sit. Unofficial was the word of the day a week ago in Pocono. Everything feels very blasé here in Kentucky. In comparison, Zach Meredith, Caitlin Height, David Smil Jr., your top 3. Not a lot of challenge about that. Everything pretty clean and tidy in this race. Bren Roberts in 4th, losing out at the very end to the 54. Lily Frazier in the 71. Her first race back is a top 5 effort, 26th place for her. Josh Arnold, Dustin Hall, Eli Sasick, Bailey Thompson, Elias Flores round out your top 10. Some very needed results in that top 10. Blake Henderson, what could have been race for him, had a top 5 car, spun with Pacey Wygen out of the top 3, ends up recovering back to 11th place after not qualifying well, starting 23rd. Bobby Blowers ends up about where he started 11th, ends up 12th after a battle with Henderson for that 11th spot. Overall, not a bad race for him, but again, calm and effective was the theme of the day here today in Kentucky. Ross Baxter, give him a chance. He has a chance to do things pretty effectively. We talked about that. 13th place for him after starting 10th. One of his more better overall performances here this season. He needed that result. So did Zach Apperson, 14th place for him after starting 19th place. Pacey Wygen recovered from his spin with Blake Henderson, ended up down in 26th at one point. He recovers most of those spots back to 15th. Again, what could have been race for him. He started this race on pole position, but never looked, even before that spin, didn't look like the strongest car in stage 2 when that spin took place. Cody Pennell ends up 16th, Stephen Oberstadt 17th, Tucker Sawyer in 18th, Jason Scott and Brady Smith round out your top 20. Gary Donaldson, Patrick Oberstadt, Hunter Peach, and Angel Santiago all see the checkered flag through your top 24. Retirements start on this page, not with Pereira or with Mark Kissenweather or with John Matthews. All 3 of those cars made the finish. Byron Jones, his day ends up being done. Chelsea Carter, Richard Odie, Josh Susie, Dale Markowski, and Alfred Denny all end up done for the day throughout this event. All but Byron Jones fell before the end of stage 2. That being said, we do have interviews set to take place here. And we'll start bottom to top as we normally do. And we will start with David Smeal Jr. If we can get him into the booth for the interview here. David, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. You got a copy.
I gotcha.
A wild race here tonight in Kentucky. Arguably one of the best of the season so far. Only 3 cautions. It gave everyone a chance to breathe and put some work in, and that 54 did just that tonight, wrapping all the way up to P3. That car had an amazing long-run pace at the end of the race. Walk us through it.
I mean, just early in the race, having to start with an EOL, just bide my time, be patient. I got tagged in the first wreck. Somebody didn't check up in time and had to go fix a little bit of damage. After that was just get as many spots as I could before the stage break, and I think we wound up like 20th or something like that at the first stage end. So no points there. That was a little bit frustrating coming off the penalty and everything else. But stage 2, just put my head down, went to work. Was battling a little tight mid-run. I think I was pushing too hard to keep up with everybody. And that last stop, I knew I had to make a change, and made the old one click here, one click there. And I mean, that thing took off like a rocket ship that last run. I mean, I had to buy the time for the tires to come in to let everybody else burn theirs up. But I think the last 20 laps, I think I was the fastest car on the track. And it's unfortunate I couldn't have been closer to Zach to give him a challenge. But in EOL to P3, I'm not going to complain. And had some good battles along the way with Dustin and Bren, Lily, Arnold, all those guys. You know, that was when we went to Open Set, this was the kind of racing I was hoping for. And it's unfortunate the last couple weeks I haven't had the luck to back it up. But it's good to finally put this Nitro 54 up where it belongs, up on the podium again.
You know, obviously, Charity 350, named that way for a reason. A lot of drivers running charities that mean something to them. We know the charity on the hood of your car, St. Jude's on that car. How important was that? Being able to get that 54 car with St. Jude's on it into the front of the field tonight with a good result and a good race all around, the best of the season so far.
Honestly, as a parent, you know, you never want to envision what certain people have to go through with their kids, and I'm very grateful and blessed to have 2 healthy, perfect little boys. And you know, that's a cause that's always been very special to me because not everybody's that lucky. And to have a result like this, the way we did it too, it's a little bit of what could have been, but it's also super proud of everybody for the work that we put in this week to get this car up there.
Obviously, this helps out your chances of making the playoffs by a significant margin. Obviously, some drivers having some misfortune tonight to help swing that in your favor. 3 races to go in the regular season. Sebring coming up next. What's the excitement level going into that race?
If we were running the full layout, probably a little bit more. I love Sebring when we did the 12-hour this year. It's such a fun track. I know this car isn't perfect at bumpy road courses, but I think that puts a little bit back in the driver's hands a little bit more. Gonna have another EOL next week because of the penalty situation, but if it's like tonight and I can just take my time and drive through the field and be patient, hopefully we'll have another good result. I'll be talking to you again next week. But yeah, just put myself in the hole last week with the points penalty and did a decent job trying to dig myself back out of it tonight, and then another road course. I forget where we go after that, and then Daytona. So it's just 1 week at a time, stack some points where we can, and we'll see how it all shakes out after Daytona.
A lot of work to do across the month of December for Davis Mule Jr. A 3rd place tonight helps him lead into Sebring, Bristol, and Daytona and end off the regular season. David, congratulations on the podium. Before we let you go, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congrats on the effort there for the 54 NFG Motorsports Toyota.
Thank you. First and foremost, I know the boss didn't have a good night, but Nitro setups, always a bad fast piece, and especially when you got Susie on the wrenches and I'm very blessed. I got the best crew chief in the pit some weeks. Everybody at NFG, DJ for giving me the ride. Peach, Susie, obviously Lily wasn't here tonight. We had Katie with us tonight. Everybody who makes this machine move and we get better every week. Obviously my beautiful wife, my two boys, Alan, Blake for the putting on the show. Obviously you and everyone at ABN for the broadcast, and everybody watching at home glad we could put on the show.
Outstanding job for Davis Mills Jr. Third place tonight. He'll try to replicate that at Sebring next week as we head down from Kentucky to Florida, down I-75. David, congratulations, and we'll see you again, hopefully, with the same conversation in Sebring in 7 days.
Thanks, Carmen.
That was David Smeal Jr., your third place driver here tonight. A great effort for him, a very much needed effort. He talked about the penalty from Pocono a week ago, having to sort of overcome that. Great way to do so is by grabbing a podium here tonight. That 54 car looked pretty strong. We'll move on to the 87 of Caitlin Height, filling in for Callie Height here at Kentucky. Coming in as a super sub. This is a place where you started off with some magic. You won this photo finish back here in season 3. We reminisced about that earlier on in the show. It looked like it was possible, but then it seemed like things just stalled out. Walk us through your perspective of the race there in the 87 camp as you try to reel in the 17 car ahead.
Well, yeah, just started in the back, and it became clear that it was one of those track position type races, and Zachary and I were just even like the entire time. I had a pretty good 500 lap battle with Tucker Sawyer, like in the middle part of the race, which, God, that went on and on and on. Finally got around him. But I don't know, that entire last stint, like for 75% of it, I could not see off of turn 4 due to the shadows, because the wall and the asphalt just blended together over there. So I just was underdriving the car so much just so I wouldn't hit the wall, and probably left a good bit of speed out on the table. But yeah, just track position really hurt me from lap 1 to 145.
A good result for you, obviously not meaning a lot for you as on the driver scale, being a part-time just sort of super sub in, but for the 87 it matters a lot. That car is a car that is trying to make it into the owners playoff battle. Obviously Callie not gonna be able to do several races coming up here. We know that you're going to be available for some of them. What is the game plan? Are you going to be at Sebring next week, or what's the next time you're going to be in the 87 car?
Well, depending on scheduling, I should be rather regular. I have no idea what Sebring's going to be like, but I mean, it's going to be crazy. I know that.
Well, we know how you do at Bristol and at Daytona. Obviously, a former Daytona 500 winner in this series, and Bristol after Sebring. Going to be a very wild race. You've been successful there as well. So if you are filling in the entire rest of the regular season, it's going to be a lot of fun seeing you try to get the 87 into the owners playoffs, and also try to get that team its first win in HTL. Before we let you go and get ready for what lies ahead, though, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congrats on the effort tonight. It's awesome seeing you back on the racetrack on a regular basis, and hopefully we get to see you try to extend that win record.
Yeah, big shout out to Callie for letting me get into the car just to, sub and try and get the points for it. And then, of course, all the Susie magic that went into the setup here tonight. It might not have had like the absolute speed, but throughout the run, it was just real solid and allowed me to drive up to second place here. Thank you for putting on the show, as always. HTL admins for coming in each week, in and out, and putting up with all of our crap. And the fans watching tonight in Twitchland, big shout out to Rivers for watching. You're the best. And yeah, I think that's it. I do know I mixed up the memos here. I thought this was the throwback race, so a cigarette sponsorship is not a charity. So let me just preface that.
It's a good looking car nonetheless, and we know you've got some pretty good schemes cooked up for the rest of the season. You've got a bunch of different F1 inspired cars. I know we'll see which one kind of pops up here at Sebring next Monday. But again, congratulations on the P2 tonight here, Katie. Obviously, still looking for another win to put in the record books here. But congratulations, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again in even better terms at Sebring.
Yep, here's hoping, and I'll try my best if I can make it.
A fantastic job for Caitlin Hyde, P2 here at Kentucky. To try to do one spot better next week in Florida. Congratulations, Katie.
Thank you, thank you.
And now we move on to the man of the hour. This is a man who, at Charlotte, he said, hope I talk to you again. I said, likelihood was pretty high. Your championship season back in season 3 had 2 wins in it, including a win at Charlotte. Didn't win at Michigan. Won just 2 states south in Kentucky Speedway. Zach Meredith, after leading over a century of laps, over 100 laps led for the 17 car, taking over the lead late in stage 1 and not relinquishing that lead. Zach Meredith, how do you feel in your most dominant performance in HTL in so far in your career?
Can I get a yeah? I'm so happy.
And there's plenty of reason to be. This was, again, emphatic. Winning by over 4 seconds. You've not done that in your HTL career. Not many people do that in their career ever. And you left the field behind in a race that didn't have any cautions. You were able to use momentum, and we got to see what the very best Zach Meredith looks like, championship contending Zach Meredith looks like, and it's scary.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of open setups, but I won 2 of the 4. And I kind of wish that we'll keep them, but yeah, I was just that setup was on rails. It was insane. That car was perfect. I wasn't loose. I wasn't tight. I found the right lane to run in practice, and I stuck with it. I never once touched the bottom. In 3 and 4, it was that middle groove only. Turn 1, 2 was the bottom, and it was just on rails, man. I can't really describe it much more than that. The car was great. It was good in dirty air, clean air. The battles between me and Pacey and Steven were great. I was just happy I got the lead and was able to hang on to my cars. I know Pacey spun and Oberstadt spun, so I'm just glad I had the best handling car, was able to keep it out front, and just happy that the field decided that we wanted a race this week. So I was happy that that we limited the cautions and the wrecks and gave room and respected everybody. So I'm just overall happy with everything right now.
And obviously for you, this is about as perfect as it could be. A stage sweep. You won both stage 1 and stage 2. You grab the race win tonight. So a lot of extra playoff points that go towards the round of 16 in the new year. We talk about it. Obviously, you said when this started, you weren't really super happy about the open setup. Now you're hoping that they stick around. And obviously, I think that's a conversation that needs to be had between the HTL staff and obviously the teams before we get to Sebring next Monday. But for you, this series is one that's really going to rely on a lot of confidence. What has these 2 wins this last month really done as far as the confidence goes, putting you in that contention to try to fight for a championship once we get past the new year?
It all started with Charlotte with winning. I went into that race having a mentality knowing that I could win that race, having done it before. I knew, that race was going to be a long race, and I was able to stick around, keep the car clean like I did the first time around, and was able to do that. Atlanta was, I don't even know how I survived Atlanta. And then last week, I don't even want to talk about last week. That that setup was not good that we had last week. We couldn't make that work at all. And then so confidence was high and low. It got really high after Atlanta, after, winning Charlotte and then fourth place in Atlanta, and then going into last week and basically not even being near the top 10. I was just really hoping to get to this track because I really do like Kentucky. It's one of my favorite tracks. Last time I was at Kentucky in a different league, I won. So, and it was in the same paint scheme. That's why I ran that paint scheme. I was hoping that this paint scheme would bring me good luck. I ditched the Tokyo Drift one. I kept totaling that car every time I was in it. So the confidence is pretty good when I'm not running that Lancer scheme. But I'm just looking forward to next week. I'm not really the greatest road course racer. I would say I'm pretty average. So it's a new slate for everybody going to Sebring for how rough the track is. We'll just see how it goes, but I'm focused on just getting wins at tracks I know I can win at and going to the playoffs, and hopefully that I can get another championship.
You're well on your way with that second race win of the season here. You're the second driver, only the second driver. We are already almost to the playoffs. You're the second driver to win more than one race this season. A pretty good feather in your cap. That means that right now you would start second in playoff points going into Darlington on January 5th. Obviously, Sebring, Bristol, and Daytona between now and then. We know you're also good on the plate tracks, and Bristol is a smorgasbord. Thunder Valley never disappoints. But that Pepsi Wild Cherry machine does a fantastic job. Obviously, you were supporting the Patricia Allen Fund here tonight for the Charity 350, and obviously HTL helping donate to that fund here tonight. Before we let you go and let you fully celebrate the race win, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congrats on the effort, your second win this season. The wins come in bunches, and I think we might see a couple more if things shake out the way they have so far.
Yeah, let's hope so. Shout out to you for broadcasting. Hopefully that was a fun race to broadcast over the last couple races. Shout out to my guys, Byron, Mark, J. Paul, Shad, the whole guys with the sub. We all helped make it become what it was tonight. We all ran well. Shout out to my Pizza and Wings boys. Shout out to all the people at the Patricia Allen Fund. That actually is a foundation I've actually personally donated along with my father. So, we try to help whenever we can. So I'm glad I was able to win and we were able to donate to them. With that being said, I hope everybody has a good day, good night, good week, good Christmas, and a happy new year.
So, yeah, fantastic job for Zach Meredith supporting the Patricia Allen Fund for the Children's Hospital of Buffalo up there in New York. Obviously, Zach Meredith, we've seen the Buffalo Bills paints on occasion. It is the Pepsi Wild Cherry paint, though, that he brings to victory lane here at Kentucky. And I'm sure we'll see that more this season with the success here at Kentucky. Zach Meredith, congratulations for your second race win of the season. And again, extending those playoff points into the new year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was Zach Meredith, your race winner here tonight. And I would not be remiss. It is the Charity 350 for a reason. We'll go through some of those paints that did have charities on them. We talked to Davis Moon Jr. with St. Jude's. Zach Meredith didn't have the charity on his car, but the Patricia Allen Fund for the Children's Hospital Buffalo Foundation was what he supported. HTL made an over $50 donation in support of that. And of course, drivers are encouraged to also donate to the charities presented not only for the race winner, but on other cars tonight as well. Dustin Hall, Millie's Princess Foundation, and you see Zach Apperson there, the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Both of them present here, both of them having pretty decent races. Dustin Hall ends up finishing in 7th. You see Zach Apperson there in 14th at the end of tonight's race. Eli Sasek supporting the Grand Rapids Pride Center up there in Michigan. Really good looking car for the number 9. Very different look for the Ascent Racing number 9. Loved it. Glad he pulled that out tonight as well. Bailey Thompson in the Kitty Cat Haven and Rescue for the 27. One of many paint schemes on showcase tonight. We'll go ahead and look at the 3 of Steven Oberstadt, the Triangle Beagle Rescue of North Carolina. Team Ralph represented pretty well here tonight as well. Olivia Pereira with the Trevor Project on the nose of the 96 car here tonight, finished 25th in this race. I know Blake Henderson had a charity on his car tonight. You see that on the I can't even read it. It's the All Within Minds Foundation is what it is. Had to take a second to actually read it on my large monitor there, but a great job for Blake Henderson, 11th place, recovering after a spin in stage 2. What could have been for him? Not a bad race, though, overall. Bobby Blowers, one of 2 cars supporting the American Heart Association, along with Byron Jones tonight. Bobby Blowers finished 12th in tonight's race. Pacey Wygant did not have a charity on his car, but again, pointing out his recovery drive from 26th to 15th with no cautions to do so. Great job for him. Gary Donaldson, National Law Enforcement Memorial and Museum on his car. Here tonight, he finished 21st in tonight's event. I think Angel Santiago did not have a charity on his car tonight. I thought he had one that he was supporting, but unfortunately, I do not believe we had that available. There's a 60. There is the American Lung Association for Byron Jones. I misquoted that all night long. Is the American Lung Association. First time I've had a chance to look at that in depth, but the American Lung Association for Byron Jones with William Jones, a family member for Byron, on the quarter panel on both sides of that car. Richard Odie also did not finish this race, but he had the Cherry Pollux Foundation for ovarian cancer on his car tonight. And Josh Susi, likewise, don't have a picture on screen, but he was supporting the Wounded Warrior Foundation on the 24 car tonight. That'll do it from us here in Kentucky Speedway for the Charity 350. More content, more coverage coming up tonight. It is on the ABN Creative side of the ball, though, as their Cup Series season for the tabletop role-playing community we have on ABN begins in earnest. Budweiser Shootout and the Gatorade Duels coming up here on ABN Studios. We hope you stay along with us tonight. If not, we will see you again next Monday for the HTL Cup Series race at Sebring. On behalf of everyone here for HTL, for the Cup Series, Henderson Graphics, Southern Cleaning Company, and everyone here at ABN Studios, I'm Carmen Sienna. Thank you all so much for joining us at our home racetrack and being in our backyard. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you again very shortly. So long, everybody.